Guys, boys, girls. It happened. It happened. Out of what seems to be, let me fix my mic. What seems to be out of nowhere, Julien Edelman released by the New England Patriots. Okay, so don't freak out. Don't lose your mind. There's some context to that. Okay? Now, I'm a little emotionally distraught right now, so please excuse me for a second. Julien Edelman's released by the New England Patriots, and he is expected to retire. Quote unquote, expected to retire. Just heard last week on the radio that, he wants to play this season. He's working to get his knee healthy. But we also heard that his knee might not be good enough to go for a full 17-game season, plus potentially playoffs. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, the podcast. I am your host, James Murphy, a.k.a. Murph, and thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Like I said, I do apologize for the damping mood that I'm bringing to this episode right now, or at least to start. I plan on changing my tune, but just with the news, it's a little difficult right now. But no, I'm not crying. I just had a sniffle. Just had a little sniffle. Hopefully your weekend was good. Mine was absolutely exhausting. I am sore. I'm tired. Drill this weekend was so fun, but very, very tough. Let's put it that way. And hopefully you were able to enjoy the couple YouTube videos that I posted on the channel, which are YouTube exclusive only videos. So definitely go check those out on my YouTube channel at Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Subscribe, like the videos, comment down below. That's where you can see a bunch of the videos, the vlogs, quizzes, home run derbies. I just did a Q&A session that I released yesterday, which was pretty fun. So go check that out. And this Julien Edelman thing, man. First Gronk retires. Then Brady leaves. Now Edelman's leaving and going to retire. So, like I said, there's context to this. Edelman being released by the Patriots, he's expected to retire. Earlier today, on the Patriots transaction wire list, whatever, it said that Edelman's contract has been terminated, quote unquote terminated, because of a failed physical, which is due to his knee, his injured knee that he had surgery on. And due to that, his contract was then terminated and was let go. He's going to be 35 years old this season. What more can we expect from this guy? He has made insane catches, probably one of the best catches in Super Bowl history, depending on what side of history you're on, that matter. This is a tough blow. I mean, we all kind of expected this. Maybe not released, but, the retirement piece. We expected that. We expected him to maybe not play this year. But we did not expect him to get released. No way did we expect him to get released. You feel so bad for the guy. You really do. He gives his heart and soul. I mean, let me just go over some of his career statistics. 620 receptions. Now, all these stats are all with the Patriots, by the way. He hasn't played for any other team, just New England. So, 620 receptions. 6,822 receiving yards, 36 receiving touchdowns, 413 rushing yards, 128 passing yards for those that keep in track for his quarterback days. He has one passing touchdown, 2,612 total return yards, and 4 return touchdowns. He spent his whole career, like I said, with the Patriots from 2009 when he was drafted in the 7th round. Picked 232 overall out of Kent State up until, today, 2021. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 49, 51, and most recently 53, where he earned Super Bowl 53 MVP honors. He's the New England Patriots 2010's all-decade team. Obviously, I mean that's pretty much a gimme right there. This is tough. This is really tough. Oh, and guess what? He is second all-time in the NFL in playoff receptions with 118. 118 total playoff receptions. That is second behind Jerry Rice, who has 151. But damn, to be in that category with Jerry Rice is spectacular. Reggie Wayne is third with 93. And then Gronk is, fourth with 89. And then Hines Ward is fifth with 88. So Edelman is well above, the pack that's behind him. And he's well behind Jerry Rice. But to put that into perspective, 118 playoff receptions, second only to Jerry Rice's 151. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Man. This is like low-key a tough one to swallow. This really is. I expected to come into this podcast with a lot of good energy because the Celtics are on a little bit of a winning streak. The Bruins, although they got absolutely torched, flamed, hammered, and abused by the Capitals. They went out and made some moves. They seem serious, and I want to dive into that later in this episode. But literally, a couple minutes before I start recording for this podcast, the news broke. The news broke, and I swear, all the big news happens just before I'm about to record. Oh, along with the wide receiver statistics that I kind of went over, let's not forget that Edelman was a quarterback when he was drafted out of Kent State. When Belichick first met him, he said, "You're not going to play quarterback, but I like your athleticism, your skill set. We're going to use you some way, shape, or form." Edelman just, swallowed the pill and said, "Okay, coach." He goes out there. He's a return specialist. We've even seen him on defense before, playing a defensive back. I mean, you remember when in like 2010 or 11 when the secondary was really god-awful? That year, that Super Bowl year against the Giants in 2011, Patriots had no reason to be in that Super Bowl because that secondary and that defense as a whole was trash can water. So Edelman was playing some defense that year. Let's not forget that. But yeah, Edelman, excellent player. He's going to be remembered forever, obviously making one of the most insane catches in Super Bowl history against the Falcons in Super Bowl 51 during their 28-3 comeback against those Falcons. This is nuts. But with Julien Edelman being released or terminated, whatever the term is you want to call it, although he is expected to retire, I do raise and ask this one question. Would any of us be surprised if the Buccaneers signed Julien Edelman? Would any of us be surprised? No. No. I mean, give it one more good run with his boy Tom and his boy Gronk. If he's a little dinged up, that's okay because he's not going to have to do as much. He won't have to be relied as much because you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronk, Cameron Brate. They got their guys back. So Julien Edelman would just be a nice supplemental piece to what is a killer and stellar offense. And you know what? If he doesn't play all the games, so what? They kind of baby him through. They, work him in every now and then just to give him one more hoorah so he doesn't go out on a bad, sour note. Would any of us be surprised if that happens? No. Could it happen? Oh, maybe. Maybe. Me personally, I don't think so. I don't think it'll happen. I think Edelman has too much Patriot pride to do such a thing. I mean, then again, we also thought that about Brady too, when his contract was up, and like, oh, Brady will come back. Him and Bill will figure it out. Brady has too much pride to go play for another team. Well, next thing you know, he releases a statement saying that he won't be back and he's a free agent. So anything's possible. Anything is possible. I do have one more question though, and this one is a very decisive question. Is Julien Edelman a Hall of Famer? Now, I know a lot of people say no. A lot of people say yes. I don't think there's a right or wrong here. You have arguments for both sides. But like I said, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time Super Bowl MVP, second all-time in playoff receptions. I'm not going to go over it all again. But just to put into perspective, Deion Branch, former wide receiver for the Patriots and the Seahawks, was also a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a 1-time Super Bowl MVP. But he is not in the Hall of Fame, nor will he ever be in conversation to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But Deion Branch, once he went to the Seahawks, he did kind of go down a little bit in terms of production, being feared as a top wide receiver. Not that Edelman ever was, but Edelman was always reliable. Through the early of his career, towards the end of his career, and I think it really went downhill when he tore his ACL in the preseason game, Week 3 against the Lions. What was it? 3 years ago now. It was during the Eagles run, that Eagles Super Bowl, so 52, so 17, so the 2018 season, he tore his ACL. Ever since then, Julien Edelman's health has kind of dipped, but from 17 all the way back to 2009, he was productive for the Patriots in one way or another, whether it's a return specialist, playing defense for the little bit of time, or being a wide receiver that he was for the Patriots. He was always reliable, always accountable, and he was the best slot receiver for a couple of years, or you could say one of the best over the course of his career. I think there's a really strong argument for Julien Edelman to be in the Hall of Fame. Will he be inducted into the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I can't say definitively, but I think he should be. That's just my personal opinion. Try not to be biased with that, but I think he will be at the end of the day. All right. So with that over with, I'm gonna change my attitude and my tone a little bit. Be a little bit more happier and more energized like I usually am. So if you allow me to, let me restart and reboot the intro, if you don't mind. Give me a second. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I am your host, James Murphy, and thank you so much for joining me on Monday's edition of the podcast, Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Hopefully you had a great weekend. It was very, very beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, wonderful outside on Saturday. Sunday, different story, a little chilly, but Saturday, it was like summer. And I've been saying that for a couple weeks now, since it's crept up into the 50s. But it was like summer on Saturday. No joke. It was great. It was amazing. Hopefully you were able to enjoy the beautiful outdoors, whether you maybe went to the beach, outside, running, picnic, whatever you like to do outside. Hopefully you were able to do that on Saturday. It was beautiful. Hopefully you were able to have a phenomenal weekend after Friday's episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. And hopefully, like I kind of alluded to earlier when I was being a little mopey dopey, hopefully you enjoyed those YouTube exclusives over on the YouTube channel. I posted a couple videos over there. Hopefully you can able to enjoy them. If you haven't already, I strongly consider you to check it out. It's awesome content over there, getting a lot of laughs, and it's just good stuff. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased. It's just what I hear, and I really appreciate that. I'm humble for that, and I'm gonna keep doing that for you guys. So definitely go check out my YouTube channel. It's awesome. It's fun. And please consider subscribing. Anyways, guys, got over all the pleasantries. I talked about the depression of the Julien Edelman news, but I promise you, I am here with that positive attitude and that positive energy that you know and love from me. So thank you so much for dealing with me for the first 15 or so minutes, being all blah, blah, the whole Julien Edelman thing. I feel like it just hit me like a wall. It really hit me like a wall because a couple minutes before recording, got the news, got the alert that Edelman got released, and is expected to retire. And that just like pause. Like life paused for a second. But nonetheless, we do have some important news to talk about regarding both the Celtics and the Bruins. And that is, let's start with the Celtics first. So just to catch up and get up to speed, the Celtics won against the Timberwolves 145-136 in overtime on Friday. Is anybody happy about that win? Nobody should be happy about that win. I'm trying to fix my mic here so I'm not yelling at you guys. The Celtics blew a fourth quarter lead, a late fourth quarter lead, but we're still able to pull out the win. I guess at the end of the day, that is nice that a win's a win. And regardless how it came or against who it came, a win's a win. You got to take it, right? You got to take it and run. Tatum also dropped 53 points, and the first Celtics player to do so since Isaiah Thomas a few years back. Like I mentioned and alluded to, it was a horrendous game to be in against a trash bag Timberwolves team. Like, come on. First of all, you should have won that game via a blowout. You should have blew them out of the Garden. But the fact that you lost a late fourth quarter lead and you had to dance with them in overtime is awful. I'm not even joking, guys. Let me put a little chapstick on and I'll tell you why. Okay, so that game was massive and crucial for the Celtics. It has now given them a little bit of momentum, and I'll talk about yesterday's game against the Nuggets in a second, but you just won a close game against the Knicks. You lost a bad game against the 76ers, so this game was really kind of crucial because it was the end of your big homestand before you go out and face a tough West Coast swing of teams, right? The Nuggets, the Blazers, and the Lakers. Come on, yo. Like, the Timberwolves are garbage. And they take you to overtime in your home building? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, a win's a win no matter who it's against or how you got it. It's a win. It's still nice to see the resiliency from the team to be able to still come back and to win, regardless if they had the lead and blew it or they, beat the deficit and came back to win. A win is a win, and I'll take it. Every win matters at this point, especially considering their situation being now 7 games, the 7th seed, 8.5 games back of first place, but you're only a game back of the 4th seed. So I'll take it, but I'm not proud about it. Okay? Because that game should not have been that close. It should not have been in overtime. And the Celtics should have been able to play their scrubs. And Tatum should not have needed to get 53 points. And can we slow down with the 53 points, please? Slow down. He scores them against the Timberwolves, who haven't been good since Kevin Garnett back in 2006. Or I guess the 2006-2007 season. Whatever. They're not good. So put it back in your pants, zip them up, and buckle them tight. Because at the end of the day, the Timberwolves took you to overtime and almost beat you. So cool it. Cool it. Okay? Thank you. All right, that's a 2-game winning streak. Then we go see the Celtics play yesterday in Denver. Sunday in Denver, where they were losing by 14, as much as 14 late in the third quarter to the Nuggets in Denver. Like I mentioned, this is game 1 of 3 of their West Coast swing. And the Nuggets were one of the hottest teams going into this game. And even though they still lost, they're still a hot-ass team. They won 8 straight going into it, but they were still able to win 105-87, like I said, after coming back from a 14-point deficit late in the third quarter. Celtics again showed resiliency. They showed determination to win, which is nice because this is a team that has been very lackluster and has showed us many nights that they just don't care about the game. They don't care about tonight's game, whether it was against the Rockets or against the Bullets or against, I don't know, the Bulls, whoever trash bag team that they lost to this year. We've seen them be in close games and then get blown out, or just get blown out from the jump and show no effort to come back. We've seen it before from them. And like I said, we saw the resiliency and the determination to still want to win against the Timberwolves, which was nice. But let's just, keep ourselves in a check, reality check here. It's the Timberwolves. But now we're going up against a legitimate West Coast Conference team, or Western Conference team, in the Denver Nuggets. Although they were not with Jamal Murray, who is one of the best guards in the league. But the Nuggets have been without Murray for a few games now due to an injury, whatever. But still, the Nuggets are still one of the hottest teams right now. And like I said, they've been without Murray for a few games now, despite still being on an 8-game winning streak. The Nuggets going into last night's game were, and probably still are, even though they lost, one of the hottest teams in the NBA. And they were dancing with the Nuggets. They were down big. 14 points, you want to call it big? Sure, whatever. A 14-point deficit late in the third quarter. And we're able to come back to win. This just doubles down on what I was saying about the Timberwolves game, is that they were able to show resiliency and determination to come back, fight, and win. Instead, what we've seen from the past is just them rolling over like a dog and calling it quits. But the Celtics didn't do that. They didn't do that against the Timberwolves. They didn't do it against the Knicks. They didn't do it against the Nuggets, which was nice to see. It was so nice to see. And I really think that, could the Celtics be taking a turn here? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but maybe. Maybe. I mean, they're on a 3-game winning streak, beating the Knicks and the Nuggets, 2 probably playoff teams. And they won against the Timberwolves, who are going to have the number 1 pick, or at least a top 3 lottery pick. But that Nuggets game, that really stands out as probably the win of the year for the team. Really does. And they're still going to be tested tomorrow against Portland, in Portland. And then Thursday, April 15th, against Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Then, just to look ahead a little bit more, you're playing against the Warriors at home, the Bulls at home, the Suns at home, for a little 3-game series there. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because they're going to be starting to play a couple of teams again like they've already seen in the past. The Nets, the Hornets, the Thunder, the Hornets again, whatever. Let's just take it a week at a time. A week at a time. Because if we look too far ahead, if we start to look at, the April 30th game against the Spurs in Boston, what does that do for us? Right now, what does that do for us? Nothing. So let's just worry about this West Coast trip, because you're playing the Blazers and the Lakers, who are currently both in the heat of the Western Conference right now. Lakers are 5th, Trailblazers are 6th. You just beat the 4th seed. So come on, let's just get a couple of nice wins here on this West Coast, win at least one of them, and we got something cooking. Now we can start to buy back into this team. Because I don't know about you right now, but me, I've kind of, pulled my chips back to my hand. I'm not betting on the Celtics anymore. I'm not going to, be aggressive with them. I'm going to take what I can get. And right now, I'm getting a lot, but I can't be greedy. I cannot be greedy with this team, so I'm going to take it a game or 2 at a time. What we saw against the Nuggets was both offense and defense, although they only scored 105 points, but they were explosive with those 105 points, scoring 31 of them in the fourth quarter. The Celtics in the fourth quarter outscored the Nuggets 31-8. They gave up 8 points in the fourth quarter. Let that sit in. 8 points to the hottest team in the NBA. Although they didn't have Jamal Murray, they still have Nikola Jokic. And now Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr. Will Barton. Paul Millsap, if you want to count him, even though he's a shell of himself. Oh, and Bol Bol, who was a meme last year during Summer League. So, 31-8. That's awesome. That's awesome. If you didn't go on that big run, you are not winning that game. So definitely Celtics fans, take this win with pride. Carry it with you into tomorrow. That energy, that momentum, that confidence, that optimism. And let's go into Portland tomorrow and let's get it done there. I just want to quickly reflect on the Celtics players. 20 points for Brown in 36 minutes, 28 for Jalen in 33. Rob Williams, Time Lord, 10 points, 8 rebounds in 27 minutes. Smart, 14 and 34. Kemba, 14 and 33. And look, Grant Williams, 20 minutes, 2 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. 2 rebounds. Aaron Nesmith, though, had 3 points in 2 minutes, if anyone cares about that. And Mo Wagner, who you traded for at the trade deadline, had no points in 2 minutes with 1 assist and rebound. Yay! Woo! Anyways, guys, seriously, take the Celtics win seriously. Take the Celtics win with confidence, pride, and some swagger as we walk into Portland. Hopefully, being able to catch a dub there. And then again on Thursday when they face the Los Angeles Lakers, which we will talk more about on Wednesday's edition of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. But as we transition over to the Boston Bruins, before I start talking all good about, the moves that they made, which we've heard about now on the radio, can we first just talk about the slapping, the absolute abomination of a game that they played against the Washington Capitals? You literally you came back home into your own home stadium, your own home facility, whatever, and they followed you right in. And then you went to the ice, and they went to the ice. And you looked back, and you saw them. And you were like, oh shit. And you know what you did? You unbuckled your pants, you pulled them down, and you laid flat on the ice. That's it. That was the game. And next thing you know, it was 8-1. Holy crap, that game was terrible. Dan Vladar, 8 goals against. He made 25 saves on 33 shot attempts, yo. That's disgusting. That's just disgusting. And I understand. Jeremy Swayman, he's really starting to play nice. He's starting to come into himself. He's getting his feet wet. And no one expected him to start a 4th night in a row. But, oh my God. Holy crap, this dude just sucked. I mean, it's only one game. He's still very young. He's got a lot of potential. So I don't want to get ahead of myself or put him down too much. He's still only 23 years old. And I'm sure he can turn it around. I'm hopeful of it, actually. I'm hopeful. But in 5 games, he's 2-2 with 1 overtime loss. And he's given up 17 goals. In 5 games, he's given up 17 goals, which is, a little over 3 goals average. Yikes. I mean, against the Capitals of all teams. But you know what? It's better that it's against the Capitals than it is against, say, like the Devils or the Sabres, where I'm going to be sitting here just absolutely ripping the Bruins a new, fresh ass, right? I mean, it's at least you're better to lose this big to that good of a team than that big to a trash bag of a team like the Devils or the Sabres. Because if that was to happen, I would be sitting here chewing UTF out. But luckily for us, that did not happen. And we get to look forward to, hopefully, more Jeremy Swayman because I really like what I see in him, and I'm sure you do as well. Looking ahead, before I go over things, I do want to talk about the trade or the trades that the Bruins made, and then I'll look at the schedule moving forward. So, as we know and we've heard from the reports, the Bruins traded for 3 guys at the deadline or approaching the deadline, addressing all their needs going into the deadline. They addressed top 6 forward. They addressed, your 4th line. They addressed their blue line. Feels good. feels good to get that off my chest because I honestly feared and thought that they wouldn't do anything or maybe make one minor move addressing, just defensive depth or, forward depth for that fourth line. But no, they addressed every single need, and I think they did a really good job at it. So, the highlight, Bruins acquired forwards Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar from the Buffalo Sabres for forward Anders Bjork and a 2021 second-round pick. Now, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that one player that the Bruins could go after at the deadline was Buffalo's Taylor Hall. He's a former MVP, former first overall pick, having a down season. He's had a bad couple of seasons, actually. So it was a low risk, high reward, buy low, sell high kind of move for the Bruins. And it pays off. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's going to pay off just yet, but, I predicted this and it came to fruition. So a little bit about Taylor Hall, in case you don't know him. He is the former overall number 1 pick from the 2010 draft and the 2018 Hart Trophy winner, which is the NHL's MVP award. So far this season, Hall has only has scored 2 goals, but he's contributed for 17 assists, resulting in 19 total points. He signed an 1-year, $8 million contract before the season started with the Sabres, and the Sabres will be swallowing half of the money or half of what's remaining on Hall's contract, so it makes it very affordable for the Bruins for the remainder of the season. This is a massive, massive win for the Bruins. Now, before I say that, let me just go back and say that this is a massive upgrade, or let me reiterate, this is a massive upgrade for the Bruins. It's a risky addition, but if Hall can come back and be the former MVP or a former shell of that MVP that, we used to know him as, this will be a massive win for the Bruins, like I alluded to. Low risk, high reward, and this is exactly what the Bruins needed. They needed to make a splash, a big move, and this is that. Although there's so much negativity revolving around Taylor Hall, where he's washed up, he's a bad locker room guy. Maybe coming to Boston, a playoff team, a championship-determined team with great leadership, a great culture, and a great locker room around him. Hopefully he can get his head on right and make, an absolute stud of himself here in Boston. Now, on the flip side of things, the Bruins did have to give up Bjork in a second rounder for him, but Anders Bjork has been a healthy scratch several times this season in like 4 or 5 straight games now, and a second round pick is whatever. It's whatever. Because additionally, along with Taylor Hall, you're also getting Curtis Lazar, who is a right shot right winger, who the Bruins actually desperately need. They've been looking for a right shot right forward for the longest of times, probably ever since, I don't even know. I mean, they've kind of thrown a couple guys in there, and none of them have really stuck. Not saying that he's going to stick or he's going to be our savior, but it's still nice to have that option in your rotation for your 4 lines. So far this season, Lazar has 9 points with 5 goals and 4 assists this season thus far, and although he's currently on IR, when he does come back, he should make a significant impact for the remainder of the season. He should, whether it's on the 3rd line, the 4th line. I doubt you'll see him on the 2nd line. But, wherever he ends up being, he should make a significant impact. Plus, why adding him is so nice is that unlike Taylor Hall, Lazar is on contract for next year. So he's not just a 1-year rental. You have him for the rest of this year and also next year, only making $800,000. So this is really a low risk, high reward in terms of bringing someone in new, someone on IR, and really hoping you're going to get the best out of him. So whenever Lazar comes back, I really think he'll be a great addition to this team. Hopefully he can bring a lot to this team for wherever line he plays on. But, him being a throw-in along with Taylor Hall at $800,000 for the rest of this year and then next year, you can't go wrong with it. You can't go wrong with the price you paid with Bjork and a second-round pick. I don't think so. I don't think so. And then on the other hand, in addition to both Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar, the Bruins also traded for Mike Reilly, a defenseman, which is a nice addition to your blue line. I've been screaming for help on the blue line this year because of injuries. They've been dinged up. It's just been really inconsistent back there. Although they've played very nicely in a lot of recent games, clearly, not this past game against the Capitals, but just generally speaking, they've played nice, but they're so injured, and you can't rely on the health of that blue line. So they went out and they traded for Mike Reilly from the Ottawa Senators, where they only gave up a third-round pick in 2022. Reilly has scored no goals this season, but he does have 19 assists and points this season. In his career, Reilly only has scored 8 goals, but he's not really known for goal scoring, so I don't really care. I don't really care what his scoring capability is, if he has a shot, if he has a powerful shot. I don't really care. That's not why he's here. Okay? He's been in the league for 6 years with just 8 goals across the 6 years. No one cares. This is not why he's here. So don't be like, ooh, he doesn't have that many points. He doesn't score that much. Well, if you're asking for points, he has 72 total points with those 64 assists. At the end of the day, this is a great addition for the Bruins in their top 4 line, which he'll slide nicely into, because the Bruins needed an upgrade in overall depth at the blue line, let alone the top 4. So hats off to Don Sweeney, making 2 trades, but bringing in 3 players. Holy smokes. Now, just like with the Celtics and their trade deadline, I just wanted the Bruins to make a move. Show me something. Show me you're serious about this year. And these 2 moves, bringing in these 3 players, shows that, and more. And much more, for that matter. Despite Taylor Hall and Mike Reilly only being essentially 1-year rentals, this move shows us this year. They're in for this year. That's what we want to see from them, because yes, they're struggling from time to time. Yes, they're very inconsistent, both offensively and defensively. And plus with Tuukka Rask and Yaroslav Halak both injured, you're starting to rely on your young goaltenders, which has been both rewarding with Swayman and also unrewardful, I don't know, whatever the term is, when Dan Vladar has been able to play. No bag on him or anything, but young goaltenders are either, that was my knuckles, sorry, are either really, really, really damn good, or they really, really, really suck. So you have no idea where, Swayman could end up sucking his next start, and Vladar could post a shutout his next start. So it's really hard to kind of gauge where that's going to be, all right? And with 109 total goals for, and you're now up to 104 total goals against, you're still, your differential's 5, but your goals against are, the 8 goals really don't help. You're now second in your division with that category, but still relatively low. And your goals for, although it's low, will hopefully go up and improve with the addition of Taylor Hall being on that second line, playing with Krejci and whoever he plays with. The top 6 forwards, your top 4 defensemen really got improved here. I'm really impressed with the Bruins this trade deadline, and I wish the Celtics kind of, made some of these kind of moves, those bold, risky moves, to be like, yeah, we're all in for this season. Except they go out and bring in Mo Wagner, Luke Cornett, and Evan Fournier, who's injured. So, I'm super excited for the Bruins moving forward. They're still 8 points behind the Penguins after losing yesterday. They still got 3 games to play to catch up to all 3 teams ahead of them, Capitals, Islanders, and Penguins. Those 3 games turn into 6 points. You're still kind of behind, but hopefully you can go on a hot streak, beat some of these teams. And like I alluded to, the Bruins do have some big games coming up. They got some big, big games coming up. All right, we got the Sabres tomorrow in Boston. That's not really much of a big game, but it's against a crappy team, and you should beat them. But then on Thursday, you have the Islanders at home. The day after Friday, the Islanders at home. Sunday, April 18th at noon, the Capitals come home. Well, they come to your home. Those are 3 massive games. I'm serious, massive games. Because if you can win those 3 games, that's 6 points, and that's 6 points that they don't have. So you get 4 points for beating the Islanders both nights, and they would get 0, which brings you now closer back to them. The Capitals too. And then after those 3 big games, next week you got a 3-game series against the Sabres, all in Buffalo, next Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, the 23rd, sorry. So, I mean, you got a huge wave of good games. Then you got some, games against the Sabres, which you can't take lightly because you need those points. We're at the point now, we're past the deadline. You need every single point you can get. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 games left. That's it. There's only 34 points available left. And you're down by 10 in terms of, first place for the standings. You don't need to be in first. I'm not looking for you to get there because I think that's tough. But second, third, that's doable, okay? At least make a hard push at it, because if the other teams win, their games, the games that they should be winning, and you're winning the games that you should be winning, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do about that. So at least 17 games left. Let's try to win 12, okay? I think, that's a really good challenge. I don't want to say it's easy to get, but it's gettable, all right? It's achievable. I don't care how it comes, OT or regulation. Obviously, regulation would be nice, so you're not giving out another point. But still, 12 wins. 12, 2, and 2. No, that's only 16. 12, 2, and 3. Finish the season 12, 2, and 3. That'd be an exceptional way to go out in the season. You'd probably end up being in first place if you do that. I don't expect them to, but that'd be nice. That would be a doozy. So before I wrap up my Bruins segment, definitely reach out to me, Twitter, Instagram, or even comment down below if you're listening to this on YouTube. What do you think about the Bruins' moves at the deadline? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you wish they did more? Do you think they did too much? Did they bring in the right guys or did they bring in the wrong guys? Let me know. You can reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram, any social media, at Murphs_BostonST, where the ST stands for Sports Talk. And like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, please comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts as well over there. So that's really all I kind of came prepared with for this episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk, because I knew I wanted to talk a lot about the Bruins and the Celtics. I kind of wanted to go a little bit into draft chatter with the Patriots, but the whole Julien Edelman news just really kind of put me off edge a little bit. So I'm going to save the Bruins draft chatter for next episode. I promise I will get to your draft questions. I will get to your draft concerns, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of reports out there the Patriots could be in on a quarterback again, whether it's in the first or the second round. So what does that mean? I'm going to address it next time, I promise, okay? But before we end this episode, how about them damn Sox? Woo-hoo! Damn, them Red Sox be on fire. The Red Sox are literally hotter than their socks. All right? They swept the Rays. They swept the Orioles, which is no trying task. It really isn't. But just the way they started getting swept by the Orioles really put a sour, damp taste in your mouth. But then they go out and sweep the Rays. Then they go out and sweep the Orioles, returning the favor. Now you're sitting pretty at 6-3. 2 games in first place. Among the rest of the division, who are all 4-5. The Orioles, Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays are all 4-5. I love what I see so far from this team. I do. The pitching still kind of, but the hitting has been very, very nice. They're hitting when they should. They're contributing runs. 14 runs yesterday, 6 on Saturday, 7 on Thursday, 9 on Wednesday, 6 on Tuesday, and then 11 on Monday, the game that Kim and I went to, April 5th. They're scoring their runs, and the bullpen and the pitching has been really solid. The pitching rotation has been solid. Not good, not bad, but solid. Bullpen could still use some improvements, all right? And when I talk about their pitching, I mean just about everybody besides Garrett Richards. I do, because that dude is just freaking awful. Oh, he's so bad. But anyways, whatever. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. I think that the do it every time. I do it every time. The Red Sox, I don't mean the Bruins, I mean the Red Sox. That the Red Sox should bring up Tanner Houck back. They should release Garrett Richards, and just move on from there. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I really hope you enjoyed me covering all 4 of your Boston sports teams. I really want to start doing that more and more often because the Red Sox season is officially underway. Bruins and Celtics are in the heat of things. Patriots, they got the draft coming up. So there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff to get to revolving around all 4 teams. So if I don't get to a certain headline or story, I do apologize. So I do try to touch upon just about everything that I can see from all 4 teams. But thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying this episode. As always, it graciously means a lot to me, and I am super humble and appreciative of every single one of you. I will see you in the next one, as always. But until Hump Days, Wednesday's edition of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. But until then, I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!